Hello everybody, and welcome back to Sinking Ship Simulator. My name is Steven Marketeros, and I will be your captain for today. We are back only about a week after the last video, because I have some cool stuff in the works. Last episode, we spent the whole time looking at cool particle effects. Actually, I think I can spawn some of those in for you right now, just to show you how crazy that episode was. Yep, if you want to check that out, it'll probably be in your recommended viewing after this, or you can go check out the YouTube channel, the previous video, or my YouTube channel, the previous video before this. But yeah, that was particle effects, basically, you know, seizure mode. It basically showed you how you could make weird flashy objects and make the physics engine go absolutely insane for no random reason. But along with the line of thought that that generated that, I also said that I was going to try to, you know, really exploit the game in many different ways. And so I set out with the goal to create Sinking Simulator's largest ship ever. And the results of that are what I like to call the Mega Cruiser, or as it is officially titled from whatever titling that I got this from translating it into Latin, the USS Inmersabilis. I think that's Latin. So yeah, anyone who speaks Latin down in the comment section below can go quiz me and tell me how wrong I am. At least that's better than the USS Bismarck, eh? Oh man, you guys would not let that die. However, you have told me that it is living now in Dodge the Mole Legend, so I have taken that to heart. Yep, no, this was not supposed to happen the way that it's going on right now. So I kind of wanted to take you to a brief overview of the ship before we started sinking it, but the sinking happened automatically because my strength was not high enough. I say that this is the biggest ship ever. I meant to make it a lot larger than this, but the size they came up with, I kind of liked how it looked, so I just stuck with it. Even though I was going to make it about like 4 times as long, I'd have to make it 4 times as tall, I had 4 times as much stuff. It would have taken 4 times as longer to build. Because it seems like with this ship, every time I thought I was done with it, I had a ton more stuff that I needed to add to make it even cooler, so I could show it off in this video. Unfortunately, the ship decided to ruin my flow with that and just start sinking itself. For no good reason. I mean, there it goes. Rip it in half right now. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I didn't spend all that time just waiting for you to blow yourself apart, did I? Apparently I did. Yeah, this thing has been sort of my prodigy. It's like the USS Unsinkable 2, but on steroids a little bit. As you'll probably note from some of the weird coloration going on, I sort of took the whole, you know, making individualized cells to make it sink slower to a whole new level. The problem with how that worked originally was that you'd have these cells sort of like this, where they were cornered off from every other source of water and they were completely airtight, but you kind of wanted them to sink. And so, as shown in the cell right next to it, I decided, what if we put like a iron section right next to it instead of a hole section? And so what there is now is that almost every one of these watertight compartments has another compartment that can put water into it, as shown more obviously here, of where, you know, this one has to fill before this one, which has to fill before this one, and this one, and this one. And so that whole process has to exist now, and it actually works really, really darn well, especially if you're sinking it from the front, not sort of like we did here. And, you know, there's an example of one right here that I did that wrong because I tried to, but all the other ones did. And so, yeah, okay, let's delete this, because we sort of sank it accidentally, I guess you could say. I mean, it looks pretty cool. But we'll try that one more time. We're not going to spend too long on this. Let me turn up the strength first, using the really cool toolbox that's in the game. Oh, Fred commented on the last video and said that he would be working on some new stuff after his internship is over, so that's good news. Maybe we could get new fire effects. Oh, man, new fire effects. Or we could fix gravity. We could fix gravity too, guys. Or you know what? We could fix buoyancy, because buoyancy is like super, super, super strangely broken. Because if you turn buoyancy up, like I'm about to do, that happens. And that is not how buoyancy works. Oh, I think we've lost it. Oh, yeah, we lost it. Oh, oh my gosh. Oh, this game. Okay. This game. All right, let's delete that. Let's retry that one more time, all right? I promise buoyancy won't go crazy this time. Do we need a little bit of buoyancy? I think we do. All right, there we go. So let's spawn it this time. Hopefully it won't fly off into the universe like this game is known to do. And let me go through a little bit of what this ship is about. So here we have, you know, the front deck, kind of like the Titanic style. And then I like to think of this more as like the passenger area. We've got the bridge up here, and then we've got some of the, you know, first class cabins and all this kind of, you know, balcony area. All these nice windows and stuff. That's pretty awesome. And then back here, I think we got more like the entertainment, like casino. There's like an amphitheater up here. And then we have some sort of a military radar with some sort of like a missile silo system, I like to think. And then there's like some freight containers over here, besides this one that I'm not really sure why I never filled that one in, but yeah, it's just kind of a really freaky looking freight container. And then back here, we've got a runway, and this, I think, is pretty comparable to the USS Bismarck's runway. So I think this is a, faintly realistic type runway, especially launching and not landing. So we got that. This thing is a massive, massive keel. It's a fantastic boat. It looks like someone merged the Titanic and the Oasis of the Seas and an aircraft carrier all into one vessel. And, I think that's really cool to have that multi-functionality to it. But let's stop talking and let's get around to piercing this thing and actually making it flood. So I'm going to give it 2 puncture holes right here on the front. But as you'll note, the water will not flood, or as you probably know, the water will not flood above this flood line here. And this flood line does not go over this thing, especially even when it's sort of under the water like it is. So we're actually going to need to have pierced, I believe, at least 2 in order to sink this thing. Otherwise, the water level will just hang around there. I think with 2, that's enough to take it over the edge, and it'll begin to go over and flood into other areas, especially when we get this deck below water. The deck is completely not watertight. So as soon as the deck touches water, the whole thing just floods completely and very, very quickly. A problem I was having right before recording this, where I was making some last minute changes, was this section still didn't have any compartments in it. So once the water got through the deck, this whole thing would flood, and basically the whole ship would just begin to sink down, and it wouldn't sink in the more traditional ship style, which is what we wanted. So I decided to make some changes there, and now everything is all fancy dancy. All right, I know you guys complain a lot in the comments that I like to go kind of crazy with my zooms and all that moving around. So I'll try to hold that a little bit more still and give you sort of an overview of how the ship's doing. I have the rigidity and the strength pretty high right now because if you turn one of them down, especially strength, the whole ship will start to begin to flood everywhere because it's just incredibly heavy in game terminology. And rigidity is up just because, they have a rigidity feature now. Why not use it? I mean, sure, it makes the ship, it applies weird forces to the ship that make it fly and move forward, but, it's still pretty cool to have. It makes things more rigid. It appears to work, so that's pretty cool. Water weight's pretty low, tool size low, wave width is kind of on the standard settings. Seafloor height, I should probably bring that down, because this is a pretty darn big ship, so it's nice to have that a little bit further down. All right, here. Yep, as you can see, the water is sort of flowing through some of these holes that I have planted here. And note that I have some of that iron right as replacements for the windows. So now instead of those being watertight sections, they flood right through the windows, and that looks pretty darn cool. You can see some of the compartments here are beginning to flood. These areas also beginning to flood the whole ship, starting to raise into the air, going front first, doing a impossibly better job of rigidity than any other sinking simulator has ever done. So Fred, I will applaud you on that. You were able to create something, at least kind of remotely realistic and true to the whole idea of the sinking simulator genre. I almost said drama, and it was like, whoa, this isn't a drama, all right? Not gonna take it that far. Genre. Yep, there we go. Bridge is underwater. Some of those first class sections now starting to go under. Back is really, really lifting into the air now. That's pretty dangerously lifting in the air. That must be putting a lot of stress sort of on the center section of the ship here. Let's see if that's true. One of the things I missed from the first sinking simulator was the show stress option. That was something really cool to have, and I just wish we still had that, but we don't. So there it goes. There it goes. Ripped right in half. Staying together though, staying together as some of that stress is relieved. Just likes to bend right in the middle for unknown reasons. So now we start to see the whole thing sink as we've punctured sort of the engine compartments down here, and we see sort of this room by room flood design start to go in effect. Yep, see it's going to fill through here, and then it'll begin to pour over into the next one, and it'll go on until the whole ship has sunk. Here we go. Yep, the whole front section's pretty much submerged. I'll help it out a little bit there. There it goes. All right, yeah, these areas, these internal sections don't really get flooded, but I guess that's the way it was designed. That's something you can't really get around in this game. I mean, you could just design them sort of like all of these, but I like the idea of that original Titanic that I built all that long time ago. That sort of looked really cool, but wow, that was like eons and eons ago. There we go. So the missile silos are filling up with water. Sort of this whole middle section here doesn't really do anything too surprising, so yeah, we don't got that going on. But yeah, the ship is just just really kind of cool. I enjoy watching this. You know, it's sort of like a labor of love, you know. My brothers are like, oh, you should work on that ship, you know. It's already looks so good. Just make a video about it. I'm like, you know what? If I just spend another 5 hours building this boat, it'll be absolutely fantastic. And as always, this ship is going to be available in the ship pack, which will be in the description. Yep, I'm still updating that. I don't know, it's been around for quite a few years now, but I am still updating the ship pack with new ships, and I will pretty much always show a video anytime there is ever a new ship. So, yeah, we've got that. And other than this, I don't think I actually have too much else to show off today. No, just the what I call the megacruiser.png. There's some other things that I don't think I've gone through that's actually on the it's actually in the game, but I haven't touched it. We could spawn something like the USS Unsinkable 2 just for size comparison. I'll let this sink a little bit further, and we'll discuss a little bit about this. I got some nice lifeboats. I actually ripped these lifeboats that you see directly from the Bismarck. Yeah. So I basically went into the Bismarck design, and I sort of just like, all right, and just copy paste, and then I pasted in a bunch of them. So it's probably not enough lifeboats, but you know, I like to think it's enough. Sort of like the Titanic, it had enough lifeboats, right? Right, guys? Right. No, it didn't. All right, but the runway also sort of airtight, so that doesn't really get too affected. And we can always sort of just lower the strength and rip that back section off if we ever feel like it's fit and necessary to do. Yeah, there it goes. It's floating up into the sky now. Yeah, but yeah, that's the USS Inmersabilis. The fantastic, really what I like to call the largest ship ever built in Sinking Simulator. Probably title the video that. It's not clickbait at all, is it? That's not clickbait. I don't think so. Probably not. Probably is. Okay. Yeah, hitting the ground. I don't know. That's kind of, is that boring? I don't know. You tell me if that's boring. Yeah, it just kind of, you know, hits the ground, sort of goes down a little bit. Especially if you don't have the strength too high, it'll hit the ground and kind of merge in. Looks kind of cool when it's done, but it does take forever. And I think, you know, if you guys want to see that, you can definitely go download the game yourself and put this in and, you know, sink it however you want. There's like a million different ways to sink this ship, so I don't think I've actually ever sank it from the back. So, you know, if you want to do that, maybe make a YouTube video about it, I would not be concerned. Okay, but let me just show for comparison size the USS Unsinkable 2. Yes, this thing looks like a tiny little vessel compared to the Inmersabilis. Man, that name is like really tough. I definitely should not ever speak any Latin ever again. But yeah, you can sort of see the issues with the ship. It looks cool, but it doesn't flood too particularly well. It suffers from a lot of those issues. But yeah, I think I could totally do a redesign of this and make it sort of a more a more functional ship, something more fantastic to sink. So yeah. I think that's all we got for today, guys. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. I know this was a little bit of a quicker episode of Sinking Simulator than you normally see, but I just wanted to show that off for you guys and just tell you that it's there, and that I will definitely be making an even larger ship in the future. So make sure you watch out for that. I'll probably make my own series of super mega gigantic class ships that you can all download and play with. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time.